The first big mistake many new entrepreneurs make is not a missed sale or a flawed product, it's a mindset error that quietly shapes every decision that follows. From day one, the way you approach customers, money, and risk sets a trajectory for your business. If you start with assumptions rather than evidence, impatience rather than discipline, or ego rather than curiosity, those tendencies compound. This section explains what that mistake looks like, why it matters, and how recognizing it early changes everything. At its core, the mistake is launching with certainty instead of testing. Entrepreneurs often fall in love with an idea and then build a business around that love, assuming demand, pricing, and distribution will follow. That certainty short-circuits learning. It leads to wasted cash on features nobody wants, marketing messages that miss the mark, or teams hired for skills that don't matter yet. The significance is simple. Early beliefs shape resource allocation. In a startup, resources, time, attention, and money, are finite. Misallocating them based on unchecked assumptions amplifies failure risk. Consider two examples. A founder invests thousands in product development before validating demand, ending up with a polished item that no one buys. Another founder spends the first 6 months chasing partnerships and branding, while ignoring basic customer feedback that would have improved retention. Both scenarios demonstrate the same pattern: premature optimization on the wrong things. Experts across disciplines reinforce this idea. Lean startup advocates like Eric Ries emphasize validated learning and rapid iteration. Seasoned investors often ask for evidence of customer traction before funding, not glossy roadmaps. Those opinions converge. Early testing beats elaborate plans. There are challenges and alternative viewpoints. Some argue you need a big, confident vision to rally a team and stand out. True, vision matters. But vision without validation becomes dogma. The balance is to hold a compelling vision while relentlessly testing hypotheses that underpin it. This mistake ties into other core aspects of entrepreneurship. It affects hiring, product roadmaps, marketing strategies, and fundraising. Avoiding it means building feedback loops into every process: customer interviews, small-scale launches, A/B tests, and clear metrics. By recognizing the power of early assumptions, you can transform uncertainty into an advantage, learning quickly, conserving resources, and steering your business toward what customers actually want rather than what you merely imagine. Understanding the core mistake: building without validated customer demand. Most new entrepreneurs fall in love with their solution before they fall in love with the problem. They start building, coding features, designing packaging, hiring contractors based on assumptions about what customers want rather than on evidence that customers actually need it. Validated customer demand means you've tested your idea with real people, seen them commit in meaningful ways, and confirmed that the problem you aim to solve is real, painful, and worth solving. Without that validation, you're essentially creating a product for an imagined audience, which is why so many startups ship things nobody uses. This mistake matters because time, money, and reputation are finite. Building a product is expensive and slow. Every feature added multiplies complexity and risk. If you build first and ask questions later, you compound the cost of being wrong. Conversely, when you validate demand early, you minimize waste, prioritize development around what customers will actually pay for, and increase the odds of product-market fit. Validation shifts the focus from what you want to build to what customers want to buy. Concrete examples make this clear. Example 1. A founder spends 6 months developing a sophisticated meal planning app with dozens of recipes and AI-driven grocery lists, only to discover through post-launch analytics that users primarily wanted a quick way to share meal plans with friends, not AI features. Example 2. A hardware startup invests in tooling and inventory for a novel kitchen gadget based on enthusiastic family feedback, then hits retail and learns hobbyists liked the idea, but the mainstream market won't pay the price they need to sustain production. Both situations stem from insufficient validation. Experts and investors will tell you the same thing: talk to customers early, sell before you build, and look for real commitments, pre-orders, signed letters of intent, or paid pilots. These are more reliable signals than positive comments or social media likes. Critics might argue that over-validating stifles innovation, or that some breakthrough products couldn't be validated beforehand. That's true in rare cases, but even groundbreaking ideas benefit from some form of customer feedback and experimentation. This concept ties directly to other startup fundamentals: lean methodology, MVPs, sales-driven development, and customer discovery. Prioritizing validation affects product roadmaps, fundraising narratives, and hiring choices. In short, validate demand first, then build what your customers are already telling you they will use and pay for. You might think the worst mistakes happen later: burnout, running out of cash, or losing customers, but the biggest entrepreneurial misstep often starts quietly, right at the beginning. Early-stage signs you're falling into the trap are subtle patterns in behavior and decision-making that, left unchecked, cascade into bigger problems. Recognizing these warning signs early gives you a chance to correct course before the cost becomes high. First, listen for an obsession with perfection over progress. If you're delaying launches because the product isn't perfect, or you constantly tweak features based on internal taste rather than user feedback, you're prioritizing polish over learning. This slows momentum, drains resources, and delays real validation. Successful startups often ship a minimum viable product, iterate based on customer reactions, and improve with data, not assumptions. Second, watch for isolation from your market. Entrepreneurs who spend too much time building in a bubble, talking only to friends, advisors, or their own team, lose sight of real customer problems. If you can't name 3 specific pain points customers described this week, or you haven't tested your core assumptions with real users, you're drifting toward irrelevance. Companies that survive early stages engage customers constantly through interviews, landing pages, or small paid campaigns to measure interest. Third, pay attention to financial shortcuts disguised as resourcefulness. Skipping bookkeeping, ignoring cash flow forecasts, or assuming revenue will magically solve early budget gaps are classic traps. You might feel clever cutting corners, but lack of financial discipline kills startups faster than most other factors. 2 simple realities: know your burn rate and ensure you have runway or contingency. Fourth, notice team dynamics that elevate ego over evidence. Founders who insist on their vision without welcoming dissent, or who avoid hard conversations about roles and accountability, create fragile cultures. A healthy early team cultivates candid feedback and uses metrics to settle disputes. Finally, be wary of chasing shiny opportunities. Pivoting is smart when based on data. Jumping from idea to idea because something new looks attractive is scattershot. If you spend weeks exploring tangents without clear experiments, you're diluting focus. Each of these signs connects back to the main problem: substituting assumptions for evidence. The antidote is simple: prioritize learning, engage customers, track finances, cultivate feedback, and stay focused. Catch these early and you avoid the trap that turns promising ideas into avoidable failures. Before you build anything, test demand. That sounds obvious, but many new entrepreneurs skip this step and end up pouring time and money into products or services nobody wants. Testing demand means validating that real people will pay for what you plan to offer, and doing it with simple, low-cost methods. The goal is to get reliable feedback and early signals of willingness to buy before you invest in full development. One straightforward method is a landing page experiment. Create a single-page site that describes the product, highlights benefits, and includes a call to action like a pre-order or join the waitlist button. Drive a small amount of targeted traffic with inexpensive ads or community posts. If people click, sign up, or even enter payment details, you've found a signal that demand exists. This is significant because it's measuring behavior rather than opinions. Clicks and conversions beat polite surveys every time. Another effective approach is selling a minimum viable version or a service equivalent. Offer a simplified prototype, a concierge version, or a manual workaround that delivers the same core value. For example, if you want to launch a software tool, you can first provide the service manually and charge customers. This validates demand and gives you insights into real usage patterns and feature priorities. It's important because it short-circuits assumptions. Customers may want something different than you imagined. Crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter provide a third path. A campaign forces you to present an offer, set pricing, and win backers. Success proves market interest. Failure teaches you to iterate. Real-world examples include countless hardware startups that used Kickstarter to validate demand and gather funds before mass production. Similarly, running small focus groups or conducting paid pilot programs with early adopters can deliver concrete feedback and testimonials you can use to refine messaging and pricing. There are challenges. Landing page clicks can be misleading if your ad targeting is skewed, and pre-orders may be incentivized by discounts rather than true long-term value. Manual services may not scale, giving a false sense of demand if margins don't work when automated. Alternative viewpoints argue for building first to show a polished vision, but that risks wasted resources. Ultimately, testing demand ties directly into product-market fit, pricing strategy, and go-to-market planning. These simple methods keep risk low, provide behavioral proof, and reveal the customer problems you actually need to solve. So you build the right thing, not just what you think is cool.